Hey everybody, it's day 23 of the Rogue Tanks devlog, and I finished making this records screen, and I want to show it off, and then I'll show you how I coded it. We've got this list of missions or achievements as I'm planning to make them, and you've got this badge over here to show that you've done it. You can just scroll your mouse over to see what the description is down here. These are like kind of level specific. These are all like beating the campaign with certain conditions. Some of these are all beating the campaign with certain conditions, but then there's a couple others that are just harder to do, I guess. Also, as you can see up here, this text, I hit enter or A button on a controller or even just click, it'll switch over to the campaign records. And this is going to keep tally of all the enemies defeated, rooms cleared, campaigns won, fewest shots per campaign, least damage per campaign. Like you have to beat the campaign for these things to populate. Same thing with fastest time. But it's going to keep track of it for each tank. If there are any other stats you think would be good for this list, let me know. These are the ones that I think right now I'm going to stick with, unless I can be convinced otherwise. You can basically just click or press enter or something to go back and forth between the two. You're supposed to press escape or the B button on the controller to go back, which is how you do that. The menu level switch case for this is records. This X and this Y, these are variables that are just set at the top. I've gone over this in previous ones, but these are just set to the center of the screen up there. The missions are right here, missions. The way I just did it is I set like a top position to like kind of start at. And so I actually have like a black box drawn on the screen along with those white borders. Though you can't really tell because the whole screen is just a black background right now, which I'm not sure what I want it to be in the future. I gotta have something though. Here's where I drew the text. I just kind of like picked a spot and then tested it. Because it's a menu thing, it's quick to get into on the test. So these numbers are arbitrary, but I try to use like some formulas in it. Like this is drawn on the left side of the screen. I've got the horizontal line left 100 pixels from the left side, and then I switch to horizontal line right and do it also room width 100 pixels away from the right side of the screen is what that basically is. I've got the different font that I use to write the bigger text, and then here's the loop that I use to draw the list of missions. And I've already got this array of missions, which is set up in my create event. This is literally just an array of text. So for like the names of all the missions that I've got. And so in this for loop, it kind of goes through that array because list is getting added to each time it goes through the loop. Also, I have this list greater than or equal to 8 and 16. These are the ways that the column gets chosen. By default, column is 0, but if we go to 8 or above, column is then 1, or 16 and column is 2, in which the names are drawn. And then if achievements list, this is checking if the mission has been complete. So if it's been complete, this achievements array is a true or false array, and so it's going by the list, and so it determines where to draw the medal. If something has been done and it's set to true, then it'll then draw a medal next to it within this same loop. And then after that, I have this switch to draw the cursor missions. So this is where the cursor position is on that screen of missions. And depending on where it is, it'll then draw the description of the mission right there, whatever that cursor position is. I've got a case for each one of those cursor positions to choose what the description will be on the screen. And so back to the records, I've got drawing the text for the different tanks and the different types of records that I've got. And then here I've got another couple of for loops, double for loop. First loop is identifying which tank we're talking about. So it's gonna go column per column. It'll do the first column top to bottom by doing another for loop record. So whatever record we're looking at. And I've only got it up to 5. There's actually 6 positions, but if it's less than 5, it's just going to check if the record is -1, then it's going to draw this dash, like there's no record set yet, basically is what that means. Where if it's not -1, then it'll actually draw the record. The records are set up like this. So in the create event, I set up the records with the first 3 records, the enemies defeated, rooms cleared, and campaigns won. The default value is 0, where fewest shots, least damage, fastest time. I have minutes and seconds for fastest time. Those are all -1, because -1 I want to just be like a dash, like it's not set, where the enemies defeated and rooms cleared can start at 0 because it's only going to go up, where these other 4 values are going to be reduced because it's like the least damage or fewest shots. Fastest time, that's going to be the shortest time taken to beat a campaign. So if it's -1, that means it's not set. Where if it was 0, it would be impossible to beat because no one's going to be able to beat the game without taking a shot or without taking more than a second, you know? So I have it set to -1, so later when I create an end game state, I can check if it's -1, then just simply put the time in as is, or damage or shots in as is, where if it's not -1, if it's greater than -1, then it checks, is this new score better than the old score? And if not, then don't do anything. But if it is, then replace it. So I'll have to code in that condition later. And I did have to recode this a little bit from yesterday's coding because I wanted to set these default scores the way I did, but then putting them into the records array, I have this, it's a 2D array. You got the tank and the record equals dsnap find value, and these are adding them into the data right here. But it's saved under the string record plus tank, well, it's the text record, and then the tank number, and then this is basically the record number 0 through 6. And so over here, it finds the value record, text record, and then tank number, record number. And these are strings here just because I can do it with a loop that way. So it's just less typing to do on my part. And so when it's drawing the text, it's calling that records array, tank record, those coordinates for that array. Again, that's just for the first 4 records because 5 and 6 are time related. So down here, after it's done the first 4, if records, whatever tank number we're on, 6, meaning the seconds, if it's -1, then, you know, you draw that dash because there's no record set. If seconds is not -1, it's an actual time, you draw the text like this with the string records, oh yeah, the records array, tank number 5, which is the minutes, and plus this like colon here for the separation of minutes and seconds, and then string records array tank number 6, which is the seconds of the record, which I can't really show because I don't have time set because I don't have an end game yet. That's pretty much the thing I'm going to be focusing on next, making that final boss so that I have an end game, because I pretty much just have the final boss to make as far as content, I believe. I can't think of anything else that I need to do, and then after that I'll just be coding up stuff like the final result screen after you beat the game. That is the progress that I made today. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.